What's up, Eagles Nation? What's going on, NFL world? How you doing, division rivals? This is Steven Hyder with Gate City Sports Channel, the sports channel where the cerebral NFL fan comes for about 10 minutes of daily content. All right, guys, as promised, I took some time today, all throughout today, and I watched, I did the replay and I watched every offensive series for the Eagles. And this time around, I took notes on 10 of the 11 possessions. 11th possession, I didn't take notes on because the simple fact is that was a Hail Mary kind of down and distance thing. I'm not going to take notes on that. That's ridiculous. But 8 pages worth of notes, guys. Got a pretty good idea of what I'm seeing here. And I'm going to be honest with you guys. There were some things on the replay that had made me soften my stance towards the offense to an extent. I'm going to get into that. But I'm going to give you a spoiler here. I softened my stance on the running game. However, even in softening my stance, I'm going to tell you as I look through here, while I don't think that like the initial, notion I had, which was, hey, look, man, you grabbed a 28-14 lead, like you got to start pounding the rock. Well, when they grabbed that 28-14 lead, the other side of that is that Miami came right back down the field and scored again. And the Eagles did continue to run all the way up until Miami just kept scoring. Miami kind of forced us into becoming that pass happy offense. With that said, guys, I will tell you this. There were still situations inside of this football game to where the Eagles should have been running the football. It wasn't as bad as it originally looks, but nonetheless, there are situations where Doug Peterson's not doing, he's not paying attention. There's no way this kid's paying attention to analytics. No way. Because I know the analytics tell you to run on some of these down and distances that he's not running on. All right, guys, we're going to dive into that today. Let's talk.
Um, Penalties really kind of set us back a little bit. Lack of execution, offensively on third down.
All right. I just want to dive right into the topic, guys, because on Monday, both Wentz and Peterson took to the stand, the podium, and they both kind of said this thing about penalties. And look, I went through this game with a fine tooth comb. I mean, I went over everything just because, like I said, offensively, it was a really weird game. And I couldn't put my finger on it. All I said in my video, like my reaction video was, we put up 31 points, but it was a weird 31 points because it just never felt like the offense had like rhythm or reason to it. Now I will say this. Now that I look back on it and I see the film of it, there were a lot of positives in the game offensively. There were some good things, and I'm going to show you that a little bit later on. Some of the really good things that was done from a coaching standpoint and the player standpoint. But I'm going to explain why I think we didn't feel like we were in rhythm. I do think Peterson and Wentz both have points about penalties. There were two drives in particular where penalties set us back. The third possession of the game, Ismaila pulls in that great initial block, but then holds at the end in the eighth possession of the game. All right, guys, bottom left, watch Aguilar block too far down the field, and that was the ninth possession. But this is what I want to say. We scored points on 6 out of 10, depending on how you want to phrase it. You can say technically 11, but that 11th possession was really a kind of a desperate grab at a Hail Mary type thing. So me personally, I'm not going to count. I understand if you do. So I'm just going to say 6 out of 10. 6 out of 10 possessions, we scored. That leaves 4 possessions we didn't put points up on. 2 of them, I think you can legitimately argue, were the result of penalties basically stalling the drive. One of the possession, there was the debacle of the dropped Ertz touchdown.
Second down and 7 off the fake to Ajayi. Wentz.
Which then led to Carson Wentz taking a sack, which then led to Jake Elliott missing a field goal. So this is a really weird game to put your finger on offensively. I see some merit to what they're saying, but at the same time, I'm just going to tell you, man, I don't know that I buy that 100% because you still put up 31 points. And even in the 31 points, this is what I'm going to tell you. Part of the reason I think that the Eagles felt so weird, the game felt so weird, and it felt like the offense was so out of rhythm even for a 31-point game, is because 21 out of our 31 points were scored on the, like, with the starting field position being on the other side of the 50-yard line. That's going to help you. There was really only two drives you can argue where we really sustained the drive and scored points.
Third down, stands in the pocket, moving to his right, still looking, and now
But obviously, as you dig more into the details of this game, guys, it becomes very obvious why the flow of this game is so weird, because we scored points on essentially 5 out of our 6 first offensive drives, putting up 28 points in that span of time. The really only stall coming on that basically that third possession of the football game. And then there's this other weird aspect to the flow of the game to where you score 5 out of your first 6 times, on your drives, and then you go 3 straight drives where for weird reasons, penalties, missed execution, whatever you want to call it, you don't score. And then 21 even of your 31 points still came because you were awarded field position on your opponent's side of the football field. When you look at it in its totality, guys, that's why the flow of this game felt very weird. And it's really hard to judge it as you break down the film. The plus side of it is we put up 31 points. And there are a few positives I want to get into. And we're going to need some pick-me-ups. And there was one play design I thought was brilliant, guys. This is a switch route, and they did this twice during the game. So let me show you the first time they do this. And this first one results in a touchdown.
Wentz looking, swings it out, and the Eagles.
Some of you are probably wondering, isn't that just a pass in the flats? No. No, it's not. Let me give you the all-22 coaches film version of it. What you're going to see is switch routes that draw all the defense's focus and allow that flat route option to be so wide open with no one walking and covering that. Brilliant play design that time. That was a brilliant play design. Eagles come out with triplets to the far side of the field, but watch Ward motion. So the Eagles are going to motion Greg Ward Jr. and go from a triplet on the far side of the field to basically creating stack sets on both the short side of the field on the upper and then on the far side of the field on the lower side. Both of those stacked groups are going to run those switch routes. Look to the bottom of your screen and watch Nelson and Alshon run that switch. So on the top of your screen, you're going to see, it's still technically a switch route, but it's more running that fashion of a rub route. And to be honest with you, might have gotten away with one on Zach Ertz there because he does seem to still be constantly making contact going down the field. But basically, Ertz is going to clear the way for then Greg Ward Jr. to come up underneath of him. We're setting up these switch routes, these pick routes, basically, to open up the flats. We're drawing all the coverage towards those routes and leaving the flat wide open for Miles Sanders to score that touchdown. So I'm going to show you that. All right, guys, this is also one of the better routes of the game. So they ran a second version of the switch route later on in the game on the fourth possession of the game on a 3rd and 6. They ran a really beautiful switch route. They got Alshon Jeffrey, lots of separation, and Carson Wentz hit him with a very good football down the field. It was a huge gainer. And I'll show you that play now, but I'm not going to slow it down, guys. I'm just going to show you it at game speed. It's going to be on the top side of the actual camera, so watch to the top side.
Up front, and they definitely have it here in Philly. Wentz on 3rd and 6.
I mean, you can already see just from getting back NFL caliber wide receivers, how different it is in terms of the route design, how good they are at the route tree at running these particular routes. Like something as simple as a switch route, which I told you guys is not a very hard concept. But when we had Alshon Jeffrey off those games, man, it wasn't good. I mean, we were really failing at running some basic, simple stuff. Do you remember that game against New England where we had Dallas Goedert? I think it was Nelson Aguilar trying to run a switch route, and like how bad Goddard was on the break on it, didn't sell it very well. Like it was just an ugly play. And it would have been a nice, easy bang, bang play at the sticks for Goddard had he come off the break the right way. But this is what that does, guys. I mean, having these type of players back opens up your offense to this extent. And we did see productivity against a very bad pass defense, but the execution was there from that. Now, I'm going to tell you, there are some other good things I saw from this game, but I think those two things make the point of what I'm trying to get at. There was good plays, good reads by Carson, good pass. Like that, there's a reason why we put up 31 points. However, I want to get into the particulars of the running game because there were a couple plays that perplexed me on what we were doing and why we didn't run the ball in those situations.
Definitely answer the call when he needed. Now Wentz on third down.
Okay, there's a lot of components to this play, guys. To begin with, let's just discuss the obvious. Yeah, him and Alshon clearly weren't on the same page there, and like the ball wasn't where the receiver was, so either the receiver didn't run the right route tree progression, or Wentz must have sailed it. It's hard to say. Judging from the film, it looks like Alshon just wasn't quite where he was supposed to be in the progression of that route tree, and that's what caused it. But I just want to point out something there. It's really easy to play Monday morning quarterback if you've played quarterback before at a pretty high level and you understand the film. It's not hard to do this. It's easy to second guess everything when you're not in game time situations where you have pressure and everything else on you, where you're just watching the film going, hey, this was open. That's easy for me to do. I'm not going to sit there and say that I would make the same decisions in game because it's a whole different aspect, guys. But I want to point something out because it's going to become obvious. Clearly, the throw was open to Miles Sanders in the flat. He probably could have taken that and gotten the first down. If you look to the flats on the bottom side of the screen, all the way to the right, offensive right, Sanders releases out to the flat. That's probably an easy pickup there. However, this is what I will say. This is one of those situations where, like I said, I'm easing my viewpoint on the running game because overall, as you watch the pace of the game, it becomes clear why we didn't do it as much as we wanted to. However, like I said, I'm still not going to back down completely from the criticism of not running the ball because that was a 3rd and 2. You know what? On your opponent's 20-yard line in a game you're winning 10-7, a game you got to win, probably is more prudent for you to run the football there. Even if you don't get it, only if you pick up a yard or whatever. You should have confidence that Carson Wentz can go get you a yard on 4th and 1. Like, it's decisions like that, guys, that get me a little bit. But that's just one of those situations where I'm saying, like, hey, run the football instead of throwing the football. All right, guys, change of sweater here. Sorry. I just wanted to update something on this discussion of the running game because this is a big topic this week. I want to point something out because there's a lot of misinformation kind of being thrown out there about the running game. And I jumped on board of that at first, too, because of my initial reaction of what I felt like watching the game. But then when I watched the film, I was wrong. So here's the deal. Coming off the 6th possession to where we basically scored, went up 28-14, we got to remember, Miami got the ball back. And they went down the field and they scored. And they brought it into what was like 28-20 game. So we were only really playing for one score ahead offensively pretty much that entire 3rd quarter. What should be noted here, guys, is that we ran the ball on every single possession of the second half minus the 10th possession of the game to where basically we didn't have time to run the ball. We had to push the ball downfield and try to get a score in quickly. 6th possession was by far, the first possession of the second half was by far the most balanced we were. We had 4 passing plays to 3 running plays. I do credit the running plays for setting us up for, decent and fair down and distances that gave us the opportunity to get ourselves in a rhythm and to push in and get that touchdown pass to Alshon Jeffrey. On the 7th possession of the game, this is the most heartbreaking out of all the possessions. We ran the ball twice to passing it 5 times. We started off with a pass, fell into a run, then we passed for a first down. We ran for a first down, then came out, ran on or passed again on first down, got a completion, got a big gainer there to Dallas Goedert. Had a first down again, passed it again. Nice timing pass to Alshon, gained us 11 yards. And then on first down the next time around on this possession, we run the ball. Sanders up the middle for a gain of 3. Then we turn around. Carson Wentz throws a beautiful ball to Zach Ertz, and Zach Ertz cannot quite make the play on that football. He drops it. That sets in the series a motion of things that just crushes this team going down the stretch of this game. Because on the very next play, I'm not going to lie to you, Carson Wentz gets sacked. And I thought Carson had a good game, but it wasn't without flaws. He missed an opportunity on this one. He was staring down. What looks like to me, he either wanted to get it to. It looked like to me he wanted to get it out to Alshon, but he was doubled, and he missed an opportunity with J.J. Arcega-Whiteside. I'll show you that.
For Philadelphia, Wentz under pressure.
That 7th possession was heartbreaking because that's the possession I feel like offensively lost us the game. Not that the offense lost this football game; it was the defense that cost us this game. But nonetheless, like that's when we were no longer able to keep pace after that, and it's heartbreaking because it's a matter of who knows where JJ Arcega-Whiteside is on the progression within the play, within that playbook. However, if you're Wentz, the one thing I'll fault Wentz on is if you're Wentz and you're looking out at that coverage, that safety tipped you off really early with his eyes. He completely turned his head and looks right at Alshon. He knows that's where we want to go. Now you know you have that same exact route being run on the other side, and you got a guy that's 6'2" and can go elevate. He's one-on-one. You got to give him a shot. I'll show you that play again, this time from the 22 angle. Just watch JJ at the top of the screen. JJ Arcega to the top of your screen, one-on-one. Doesn't really beat him, but it looks like there, guys, that the second read for Wentz looks like it was basically going to be Greg Ward Jr. kind of doing a deep in route. However, as Wentz tries to roll the pocket and that pressure gets home, because it was a really long and delayed like blitz that came around and got to him. It doesn't matter just because that play's not there either. There's an underneath zone there. There's a linebacker that drops back and has that taken away too. So there's double coverage on both of those targets. The only really play there, and I know there wasn't a ton of separation from JJ Arcega-Whiteside, but it's still a one-on-one opportunity. I mean, that was the play to me. That was the play you make. And I thought Brian Baldinger also pointed out like some other things on possessions to where we just missed opportunities. And, one of them was on the eighth possession again. So if we go to the eighth possession, so the very next play after missing JJ Arcega-Whiteside, there's that weird rollout pass to where Wentz throws it at the feet of Jeffrey. Threw it at the feet of Jeffrey on that rollout because there was an underneath zone there. He would have got picked off if he tried to fit that in. It was the right move to throw it down if you're targeting Jeffrey. The problem is that Nelson Aguilar releases on that play and he's wide open. He has separation and would have been a big gainer. So, look, I'm not going to sit here and say that the offense lost us the football game, but we left meat on the bone, is what I'm saying. There was meat on the bone. There was more points we could have put up with a little better execution, and then questionable play calling at times too. I mean, I'm not going to criticize the overall running game because I think it's a little more nuanced than we've realized as we break down the film. But I will criticize things like passing heavily on first downs instead of running, which was a factor in this game. You start putting yourself into weird down and distances. Early on in the game, you got away with it. But it just seemed like as we got to basically that seventh and the eighth and the ninth, like as we started stalling offensively, it got a lot harder to do that. And we weren't running, setting up those shorter distances and downs. And then we started having penalties. And then we started, not executing the way we're supposed to execute, where we were missing, targets that were open, where we had players dropping passes again. You know what? Philadelphia Eagles shit happened again. That's my thought on it, guys. This is what I saw from the offense on this game. Don't forget to leave me a like, comment, and subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed. And look, guys, these are my thoughts and opinions. Leave me your feedback below. Tell me what you've seen. Have you seen another breakdown of some stuff that you want to add to it? Let's talk. All right, y'all. EADLES. I know we're not mathematically eliminated, and I'm still in this, guys. I still would love to go to the playoffs. I don't want the Cowboys winning the division. But I got to be honest with you, man. These aren't happy vibes coming from me right now about this football team.